Hey everyone, Eric Thompson here. Welcome back. That's right. No top 10, not this time, but top Tori, okay? Top 10 Tori, forget it, the alliteration does not serve me well. Welcome back to the channel. First of all, actually, first thing is first, I think we should get the kiss over with now, and that way we don't worry about it later.
I do agree to this. It's awful.
So, if you don't like the kisses, then just look away. Okay? Ready? Ready?
Yes.
I'll count it down.
It just makes it more awkward.
Thank you, that was very nice. I love you.
I love you too.
The pastor's video. Unbelievable response. I'm going to check real quick. You saw it.
Mm-hmm.
You watched it twice. I don't know how many times I watched it, but...
The other 50-something were from him.
Just replaying it. 77 views. No dislikes. Tremendous response to this film. It was just inspiration that led me to put it down in the first place to record it, and thank you for your welcome response, for all the encouraging words that you guys have shared about it. It is very cool. Someone calling us?
Nope.
Nope. All right. So tonight, something very different. Again, no top 10s, no movie reviews, although there's a lot coming out and a lot that's going to be exciting to see. And so we'll stay in touch with that. But for this evening, I wanted to answer with Tori the question that we get asked the most. Or kind of the...
We used to. Not anymore.
I do all the time. You do at the farm. They ask you. The series of questions, you know, how did you meet? How did he propose? When is your wedding date? All that stuff, okay? And so Tori and I thought that since we don't have a, whatever it's called, the knot, or the knot blog, or the square knot, whatever, that we would just do a video in our fashion and discuss this with you, how we met, and sort of the topsy-turvy, crazy love story that God led us on and to each other. So, would you like to begin?
Oh, no. You can go. Got it.
All right. So let's start like a year before we met, okay? Just to give a sense of where we were at. So a year, more or less, before we met, I was still in Oregon, and I was delivering flowers. I was playing piano in a sushi bar. I was working at a church. What was I doing? There were two more jobs. What were they? That's right. I was teaching the piano at Performance Sound and Music. Jay, Melissa, I remember. And then I was teaching piano and guitar privately. So was just trying to make a living. I was in between jobs, having worked in the Seattle area, but before I moved to Illinois. And so it was in late January of last year. 2011.
2010 would be the year before we met. So.
Yeah, so it was but it was 11 that we met. So
yes.
I moved to Illinois in 2011.
Yes, early 2011.
And I think it was like the last week of January. Anyway, there was that crazy snowstorm. And so there I was in Illinois. So that was kind of what was happening. I was in Oregon, very far away from Illinois or Kentucky or any place like that. And then God sort of drew me to that job in Illinois. What were you doing?
I was going to school, college in Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going into my junior year. And so in January, by the time he got to Holy Apostles, I had just a couple of weeks before. My family lives in Illinois, so I had left for school right before he got there for my second semester of my junior year. And then just a few months before we met, I was actually studying abroad in England.
Yep. So then, really, she has to talk about the initial days, because you know how it is. Maybe you don't. You tell me. Okay.
So I got back from England in July, early July. Usually our semesters end in May, but the school over there is in 3 trimesters, and so I was there, and then I was traveling a little bit. So I got back home in July, And usually my family went, well, my mom and my sister and I would go to the 6 p.m. Mass on Sundays at Holy Apostles. And my sister was going on a mission trip with the youth group. And so this was, I mean, within a week or two after I got back from studying abroad, and we went, because they were leaving for the mission trip, we went to Mass on Saturday night. And Eric happened to be playing the responsorial psalm. And so I saw him up there, and I didn't know that he existed because we had just missed each other in January. And this was the first time I was back home since then. And so I was sitting next to my sister in Mass. Oh, who is that? And she said, oh, it's just Eric. It's the music director. And so she left, and I don't know. I mean, he was playing guitar and singing in church and probably wearing a denim shirt, if I remember correctly. So I was kind of intrigued, but I didn't know anything at all about him besides my sister said, oh, he's the music director. And she obviously wasn't really interested in giving me more information. So she left, and then I saw him around church. While she was still gone, I was at Mass alone once, and my mom had dropped me off there, and so I was waiting for her to pick me up. And I was sitting around, and he was locking the doors, and so I think he said like a couple words to me, and I said a couple words back, but I was super shy, and like, oh my goodness, he said things to me, he talked to me, and like I didn't go do this, but kind of stereotypically you'd think like I wrote in my diary today. Eric and I said our first words to each other. But it wasn't quite that dramatic. And so then just hanging around church, I saw him a few more times for, stuff like peer ministry, and so poked his head around, and then I sort of trying to get his attention a little bit more. I'm creeping around on his Facebook trying to learn about him. And so I purposefully made a Facebook status when I saw that he was online, something that I thought he would be interested in. I was trying. I know this is pathetic. And so he messaged me after my Facebook status. It was about Mozart, French horns. I played French horns, so I was like, this will be my ticket in. And so I guess it worked, because he sent me a message and we talked a little bit on Facebook, and then eventually he asked me to get coffee. And so I kind of freaked out, and I didn't really know what the intentions were there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, indeed, my intentions in that early time was just to get to know you better, because it was cool that you had made mention of classical music, which is just not common. You know what I'm saying? It's just not common to talk about these things. Not everyone posts about Mozart or French horn concertos or French horn or concertos at all, okay? And so the first time we went out to coffee and we played games, I think, whatever it was, and this was before I became embittered about my gaming. But I was very innocent then, and we had a great time, and I thought, shoot, that was like a real nice time, And of course, I was immediately attracted to her because she's so beautiful. I don't have to tell you, you're looking at her right now. But, hey, watch it. And so, there was that attraction, but there was also just a beautiful vulnerability of spirit. Like, she was open and she shared things, and she had just, or was just coming into the church a couple months later. And so I related deeply with her experience because I had become Catholic 8 or so years before. So I remembered how it felt in those months up to her conversion, or to my conversion, excuse me. And you had just gotten back from Italy, and I traveled to Italy, so there was a lot of commonality, a lot of similarity. And I don't know if it was on that date or a date after, but I said, hey, when can I see you again? And that's been like my line, right? When can I see you again? And she said, I don't know what she said. But then I think we went out and saw a movie, and yeah, you were nervous.
I was so nervous.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a nervous person, and it takes me a long time to get used to people, and I didn't really know, like I said, much. I just met him. I didn't really know what his intentions were. He's a little bit more, not a little bit, a lot more confident and assured, or at least presented himself that way, than I am. And so I was super timid. I think I spilled food on myself, that kind of,
it was It was so good. So we went to Buddy's in McHenry. Buddy's, shout out to Buddy's. John Castle, you know what I'm talking about, brother. And we got, we got like the Sears Tower or something like that. It was a specialty pizza. And she just didn't have a grasp.
And no one ever taught me how to eat. I don't know. I learned stuff at school, but...
Oh my god. And so it was like she just could not handle this pizza. Like it was everywhere. Oh my gosh. And holy smokes. And so I was like, you just cut it with the anyway. But it was so sweet, and I think it was like my most enjoyable dating experience because we were just so new to each other, and you get to learn all these little quirks and things all the time. It was wonderfully exciting. Before I forget, today, was it today? You cut my hair?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, Tori cut my hair. And so let's put some Vegas, if we can put some footage up here in the corner. There's no
dead ends on them anymore, split ends. I keep saying dead ends, but it's nice now.
There you go. So there's footage of her cutting my hair. All right, if you enjoy that kind of thing. And so I knew that her time in McHenry was growing near to the end. I said, I gotta move on this. I can't linger for too long. And so we held hands one night, and we were walking around, and I was talking about Frank Sinatra or whatever it was, and it was beautiful, but it was awful because the mosquitoes were so bad, and you're kind of
it was miserable.
Oh my gosh, thanks. And then maybe a couple weeks later, she was over at the place where I lived with some parishioners, and in my mind, I pretty much said, like, I've got to make a statement of intent here before she leaves for school. And I thought, there are only two options. Kiss her or tell her I love her. That's it, you know. Now I know, you're thinking the same thing I am. Why would you tell her I love you when you've only been known her like 4 weeks?
Would have been a bad idea. I'm just gonna...
Fair enough.
It would have.
So what
made a good decision.
Oh my gosh. So what did I do? That's right. I kissed her a couple times, and it was awesome. But again, it was like, what is happening? Because the energy and the romance was so strong, and the attraction was, but it was still so new to the both of us. It's like, what is happening? And she left. I mean, days later, you left for school. I remember though, on the way back to church to take you to your car, I said, let's just be cool, because you're going to go away. It's your final semester of your senior year, kind of, and that shouldn't be complicated by a long-distance relationship. That's a pain to want to be with your friends and your professors for the last time, and then you got this long-distance boyfriend you're trying to take care of, and forget it. And so we said, we're not going to make it official, But I felt like I had said with the kisses that I am for you, and I hope that you will be for me too. And so here begins Act 2. That's right, the middle act, always the sad one. And so what happened in Act 2, Tori?
All right, so I went back to school, and
she came back here to Georgetown, right?
Right. We're in Georgetown now. This is where I went to school, and so I finished my senior year a little early. I just had the one semester. And so I get back to school, and I'm super excited. I'm seeing my friends, my roommates, and I remember the day we're moving in. I met this guy, and he's so great. I kind of talked about him a little bit before, but this is the first time I'd seen him in person, so I'm gushing, of course. And my friends are like, yes, another guy, because I tend to get excited about people for brief amounts of time. I think lots of people can probably relate to that, but if it's new and it's exciting, this is the guy, it's great. And then, a couple weeks later, moved on, right? And so my friends are kind of like, yeah.
Derek?
What was his name again? Derek? I don't know. Yeah, we weren't even calling you by your name. It was kind of childish.
What?
He was Catholic music director. He just started making me.
A designation.
Yeah. I'm not proud of that.
Oh.
But anyway, so my friends are all like, yeah, whatever. They were kind of excited about it for a little while, and then I was wrapped up in school and work and enjoying my senior year, and it kind of wasn't as interesting to me anymore. Sorry, I'm distracted. Emma's sending me a message. That was my sister. Hey, Emma.
I'll tag you. Have a birthday on the 14th. It's coming up.
Anyway, so he's texting me still, and I'm kind of not responding as much, and
at all,
and kind of looking around at other guys. Nothing actually happened there. I didn't date anyone else, but just kind of more fun. Like, oh, isn't that guy cute? And so my friends are like, so what about Eric? And there was one point when we talked about maybe he'd come visit me, and I was like, I don't think you should come visit. And so my friends kind of teased me, like, yeah, so much for that. You were excited about it for a couple weeks. And so I suppose I didn't really know what was going on. I was kind of getting the vibe that he was more interested in me than I was in him at this point. And I think I was remembering today, I texted him first one time because he hadn't texted me first in a while. And you know how it is. Maybe you don't like someone, but you enjoy them liking you. And so,
of course.
Like, I gotta string him back in here.
Gosh, more Mozart.
Not like that.
There's more Mozart out there.
I feel like all this. I just sound like a really terrible person. So if you don't know me,
you don't know her.
Hopefully don't judge me too much. But the story gets better soon. Anyway, so I texted him the one time once first, and then my mom and my sister mentioned, like, oh, we've seen Eric around the church with some other girl. I was like, oh, that's probably a good thing. I guess I should just let this go. Not that I was really holding on to it very much, but and then right before I came back from school, there's a little bit of conversation. So what's going to happen when we get back? Now I can't just kind of play around here. I have to figure out what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say. And so I'm really praying about it and thinking about it and worried. Like, I don't want to string him along anymore, and I don't want to miss an opportunity, and I don't know how I feel about this, and I've kind of been in similar situations before, and it's been not so great. And so I got back, I think maybe it was on a Tuesday, I'm not sure, and we were going to get coffee on Thursday, and so I remember going to adoration, and I have my little prayer notebook where I was writing, like, I don't know what I'm going to do, what the heck is going to happen, God help me out here, because it felt like a really major decision that I had to make right away, which wasn't completely true, but it felt like that. And so we go out to coffee on Thursday, and I'm so nervous because I still haven't figured out what I'm going to say or do. At least we have to give this one meeting together a chance. And so within 5 minutes, I felt like completely comfortable. It was normal. I wasn't worried about what am I going to do? What am I going to say? Do I want to see him again? Like, I knew that I did. And so, you can go ahead now.
And so, of course, after that meeting, what did I say? That's right. When can I see you again?
Ladies, if you've had that line used to me before.
And it was like, oh my gosh.
Recognize it.
It was only like another day or so, and we went and saw. Did we see The Pianist, I think? Or something like that? Wasn't it? I feel like that was one of the earlier films that we saw. It was a War Horse, maybe, or something.
War Horse?
Yeah. And so I held her hand during the movie, and it was awesome. And then I dropped her off back at church, and I said something unnecessarily emotional, like, the last time we were standing in this parking lot, I was saying goodbye
to you.
Never again. And I kissed her. And she kissed me back, and that was it. It was sealed. And I want to go back and just back to the time when we were apart. Indeed, because she had been so distant and kind of turned me down on my desire to come visit her, I thought, well, I guess that was that. It was great while it lasted. She's a great, awesome woman, and hopefully, we'll have a wonderful friendship to come. And so I just sort of let it go, and yeah, I kind of tried to see at least one person. I was on the Catholic singles thing, which, by the way, don't knock it, because something might just happen. God might just move in a special way for you through that special medium. You're meeting real people, okay? They aren't all robots. Anyway. And that just didn't work out, but it was obvious that I still really desired her and really wanted her, even after all that time. And so when she got back and we went and got coffee, and then we went to the movie, and I was like, oh man, I can't wait at all. And so then it was a couple more weeks, and we were hanging out over in my apartment again, living with some parishioners, and so we just kind of hanging. It was Christmas time, and I was like, I don't know, what did I say? I was like, can I call you my girlfriend or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, because we were an item by certain by then. It wasn't too terribly long, and so I was like, you know what? Let's make it Facebook official. And so
I don't think we made it. No, we dated.
No,
I said that I'd be your girlfriend, but then it was a little while before we were on Facebook.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that was really necessary to pull that trigger, but because it is. I mean,
It's ridiculous that this is like a part of our relationship history. That's when we became Facebook official.
It is tremendous. I mean, for those of you who know, Anyway, we're going on too long. So, 20 minutes. Oh my gosh, how's the haircut going? It looks good. Okay. And so, I mean, we had a wonderful dating relationship. We did tons of super fun stuff. And for me, I know it wasn't for you, but for me, it was the first real, genuine, dating relationship I had that wasn't at a distance or messed up because of this or that, or we were open and we dealt with each other and we ran into barriers and walls and we hurt each other by our sinning, and I mean, it was real, and I was like, whoa, and so even though it was really passionate and super fun for me, I was in the thick of a true conversion of heart because I had never become trusted that way by a woman before, and certainly that was happening so quickly, and we were being drawn together so quickly and spending so much time together because I just didn't want to waste a moment. I felt like moments were being wasted if I wasn't with her. And so, which is how I feel now. That's the thing. And so, consequently, is there anything you want to say about our dating relationship time or anything in there?
I mean, it was sort of, I'd been in one serious relationship before, but it wasn't really terribly healthy. And so it was new for me too. And I mean, it was just like you said, I didn't feel awkward, which, as my story before may have indicated, I tended to be really awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's better words for it, I feel like, but that pretty much sums it up. And so it didn't feel that way. Like you said, we were just able to be honest and have fun with each other and be serious, and it was scary and awesome and real.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's real. It's well said, yeah. But it wasn't long until I was like, well, I don't know why I'm waiting to ask her to marry me, And so it was probably in, middle of March, and I thought, well, I better go look for a ring.
What about when you said "I love you" for the first time?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I apologize. You go ahead, please.
We're gonna just include it all while we're being self-indulgent here and talking about ourselves.
Half people stopped watching 20 minutes ago, so.
I mean, I think it might have been late January or early February. It wasn't all that long, but.
If you haven't written down, go and find it, and I'll have Vegas snap the citation up.
Or journal in my diary or something.
The fact checker that he is. Okay.
Yeah. But he told me he loved me, and was real sweet, and I said that I loved him too. And then, I mean, in that same conversation, he said, "I feel like the only thing I haven't done yet is ask you to marry me," or something along those lines. So maybe not necessarily advisable in general.
I really don't remember saying it.
He did say it though, I promise.
There it is.
Because I left that night and I was texting my friends. These are the same friends that I had come back over the summer and I met the guy of my dreams, and then kind of dropped it in a couple weeks. So I think they were all they were all hesitant. Like, you haven't been dating this guy very long, Tori. Chill, but that's how it happened.
I remember, and I remember really clearly. I don't remember saying that, but I remember being there with her. My heart was just pounding so fast, and I think your head was against my chest, and so you must have felt it certainly. And I said, I mean, I was afraid to say it because I knew that I had never said it before so truly as I was about to say it to her. I never meant it in a more complete, deep way. And I was like, oh God, what if she doesn't say it back to me? What if she doesn't feel the same way? What if I've been misreading or I'm moving too fast? And so I asked her something, you just ask anything to break the ice to know it's okay. And so I said, have you ever wanted to say something that was really important but you didn't know if you should, or something like that? And she was like, no, you can, it's okay. And I mean, I'm sure you knew what I was going to say, you know. And I said,
I was trying to play it cool, you know, but I knew.
And so I said, I love you, and you said,
thanks.
And that was it.
I love you.
Minor breakup, good. Yeah, I still love you. Every day. Yeah, because you have
I guess.
2. Oh my gosh, thank you.
This is not the deal. So.
That's so sweet, but thank you. But it was also after that point, not realizing I had said that, but I was like, well, you know, it's time. And so I think a couple weeks later, I probably brought up the idea of engagement, and then maybe, in my mind, I don't recall it like being fast, like our conversation of it, but I remember just thinking, you know, she seemed to feel confident with it. I know I did. And so I was sort of asking the questions like, you know, what kind of things would you want to do, or experiences that you'd want to have, you know, so that you would feel comfortable being engaged to me, you know. And so there were just really a couple things that she wanted me to meet her friends, the same ones of which she's cited 2 or 3 times now, you know, Hannah and Laura and whoever else, you know. And then she wanted to meet my family, which is also really important to me too. And all of those things I felt the same way about. I wanted to meet her friends so they knew me. And I think I befriended Hannah and Laura on Facebook somewhere in there, and I was talking with them just a little bit, just to, you know, throw some conversation back and forth. But that was it. And I thought, well, okay. And so we had planned to go home to Oregon, where I live, the week after Easter. And man, what a crazy time Easter time was. Why was it crazy, Tori?
Because Eric here is a musician.
No, I forgot that. You were here.
Easter, what?
You were here in Georgetown for what? Starts with an F and it rhymes with Miles.
Oh, right. Gosh, how could I forget?
So she's,
and I mean, in the past. So I finished.
You guys don't understand, like, she's in like the 99th percentile of students.
No.
Or at least of test takers.
No.
But she's so smart. But she was studying like 40 hours a week.
This is not true. Okay.
I mean, we're talking like she would take like Beowulf bite size and just be like, and like eat Beowulf like.
No.
But it was super intense.
You can just let me say.
I just want.
I had finished my class.
I'm so proud of you. That's all.
I finished my classes in December, and I still had to take my orals. So I was off campus. I was back in Illinois, but I was studying for my orals. I'm an English major, so it's just all the English stuff ever. And I wasn't studying as much. I had flashcards and stuff with me.
So many flashcards.
But it's not that big of a deal. So in late March, the end of March, I had to go down to Kentucky to take my orals, which went well, and I passed them. He sent me flowers. I got a high pass, I guess I should say. I'm just bragging. I was just excited after all the studying that I got a high pass and not just a regular
It was well
pass.
deserved. It was awesome. Yeah.
But so I had just gotten back. I came back in time to see his, what are we calling it?
Oh, I don't know.
Paraliturgical musical, is that what you said?
Stuff Up Modern, which is on the channel, by the way. Mary Lou, I'm still waiting for you to check it out.
Now a message from our sponsors.
Yeah.
And so I came back for that, and it's Holy Week, and I converted in September to Catholicism, because I went through RCIA, and I was supposed to convert at Easter, but I was studying abroad then. I was in England, and I couldn't do it in another country. So I converted in September when I came back to Georgetown, because that's where I went through RCIA, blah, blah, blah. And so it was my first Easter in the church, so that was really exciting, because I never experienced all the Holy Week stuff. I missed out on it because I had gotten on a plane the year before and left the country.
Yeah.
So we were experiencing it together, which was really exciting for me, and to see all his involvement in it.
Yeah, it was a tremendous time for me. And last year at Holy Apostles, we did an amazing, Seder meal. Let's show the picture of Emma cutting up the fat. Thank you. I mean, holy smokes, like, it was an unbelievable week and a half. Seder meal, beautiful worship services, and then Stabat Mater, and then indeed Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and then Holy Saturday, boom, the epiclesis, really, of the church year, especially in the sacraments, because that's when we welcome all the catechumens into the church. Confirmations, baptisms, weddings, okay? Weddings happen in the middle of that Mass. That's what we thought. We should get married in a Easter Vigil Mass, because then it's like 5 minutes long and they slip you in. But it's a super fun time. And so there we were, and she had just gotten back to see Stabat Mater that day, and it was just tremendous. I mean, it was a tremendous performance. But what she did not know was that while she was gone, I had met with her parents. And
I did know.
Oh,
I knew that they were
after
meeting
that, yeah.
because it was the day that I was leaving. I had my suitcase and I'm getting ready to walk out the door to leave for Kentucky. And my mom was like, "Oh, we're having brunch with Eric on whatever day." And I was like, "It seems like he probably would have mentioned that to me." And so I remember standing there, kind of freaking out about it because I assumed that maybe he was going to talk to them about asking me to marry him.
She was right.
And so I stood there for about 5 or 10 minutes and freaked out. I'm like, "You have to be nice to him. You have to be nice to him. Don't scare him. He's emotional and fragile."
What? You said that?
I said that. I'm sorry. I never told them that before.
Oh my gosh.
I was very concerned. I didn't know what was going to happen, and they were still kind of, hesitant about it because we hadn't been together that long, and still a baby. And
oh my gosh. And although, I had done everything I could to be in their home as much as possible, to have a presence with, especially Tori's sister, but her parents as well. And so, for my bros out there, if you dig on a girl, if you're courting a girl, right? You have to court the family as well, okay? I'm not saying you gotta buy stuff for them, but you have to present yourself, okay? And be brave. This can be a whole other video series. How to successfully and not successfully court. Now, I know that I'm successful because I've only done it once. It turned out really well. But indeed, that meeting was to talk with them about proposing to Tori. And so it was a Saturday. And the day before... Uh-oh. What is it?
We're going to pause the video and be right back.
How long?
We have 30 minutes.
Half an hour.
Right, let's keep going.
So, so that was a Saturday when I was meeting with their parents. On Friday, I went to Studio 2015 in Woodstock, wherever
Another
it is.
message from our sponsors.
Thank you. And that was John Castle, again, my brother. He recommended it. And I said, I just needed a place to start. I didn't want to buy a ring at Walmart. I didn't want to buy it off of Zales.blog.org, whatever it is. Even though every kiss begins with A. What's the other one? What's the other song? There's the Zales, every kiss begins. That's Jared! That's right, whatever. That wasn't my key, but it's okay. Jared, he went to Jared.
He went to Jared.
Yeah, I did not go to Jared. F you, Jared. Excuse me. Okay. And so what went down was I went to the place. Let's see a picture of the ring. And so, I saw it, and I was like, oh, man. And I had no idea what I was getting into buying a ring in the first place. And so I didn't know about price points or ranges. I knew a bit about, diamonds and kind of a bit of that. Diamonds off anyway, Skyfall coming out soon, by the way. Don't forget. November 9. But I saw this ring, and I was like, oh man, that's it. Number one, it's got the 3 diamonds, and the one in the middle is the biggest. And so for me, that was always representative of Christ in our relationship. He is bigger than we are, and he is in the middle. He is between us, okay? That's just good news. 2, it was white gold, which apparently is popular now, and has been popular for a while. But, yellow gold was very traditional, and so white gold, there it was. And 2, it wasn't like $15,000, which was great. And so I bought it, and the next day I went and met with her parents. And it was awful, painful small talk for like an hour. only because I knew that I was going to have to eventually be like, so, but I did, and pretty much I said, hey, this is how I feel for her. This is how she feels for me. This has been our experience so far. And I'm willing, I'm ready to give my life up to be with your daughter because she doesn't deserve anything less than a whole another person, you know, a whole commitment. And so they said yes with their blessing. Your dad said it was a provisional yes. He said it was provisional.
Of course he did.
It was so much fun though, and they were so warm and open to me, and so.
Probably because I told them so many times to be nice to you, and they watched me freak out.
Yeah, but I met with your sister at a somewhat later point too. I think 3 or 4 days later, she and I met and talked, and that was good too. That was a good conversation. And so that was a week before Holy Saturday, and so then she was still gone. Remember, she came back into town, stopped up on her, boom, and then got into the weekend, and it was Holy Saturday, and so it was her first Holy Saturday as a Catholic, which is ultra special because it's, like I said, it's a very unique, beautiful, unbelievable Mass. And I just realized that night that it was my 10th year as a Catholic. I converted to Catholicism in 2002. And I just remembered it that night. Now, do you remember from like 10 minutes before when I said that we were, maybe like 20 minutes, I don't know, that we were going to go to Oregon the week after Easter. So it's Saturday night, then Sunday, Easter Sunday, and then we're going to fly to Oregon on Monday, all right? And so I'm like, all right. And I'm thinking, I'm going to propose on the beach, or I'm going to propose in the Redwoods, or something like that.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
So yeah, I was not very good. I didn't surprise you. But I just couldn't wait. And I really honestly did not intend to propose when I did. But we went to Mass, and I wanted her to sit next to me, and she wouldn't do it. So she sat all alone by herself.
Well, he has to, I just want to say he has to sit up in the choir loft. It's not like
there were a lot of people there. It was
I wanted to experience my first vigil Mass the way normal people do.
Yeah. What does that mean?
People that don't work at the church.
People that don't see those high altitudes all the time.
It messes with their heads.
Not a lot of oxygen up there. John, don't you know what I'm talking about? Okay, so after Mass, we kind of cleaned up a little bit, and then we went to Meyer, of course. And because some of you maybe are not familiar, during the season of Lent, which ends with the Vigil Mass the night before Easter, a lot of Catholics will fast, okay? And some will just like not eat meat on Fridays, which is what all Catholics are required to do or really admonished to do. But we have both given up specific things. I've given up meat, which I've done for many years during Lent, which is a real challenge. You've given up.
I was not watching TV.
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
Or not, not normally watching TV. Like, you hadn't watched any of the shows that you wanted to or anything like that. And so I said, hey, come over and we'll make a pizza, and then we'll watch 30 Rock or something like that, So we're breaking our fast together. It was a wonderful time. And on the way home, I realized, I was like, oh, this is my 10th anniversary. Like, oh. And so, like, that's heavy as it is. Like, 10 years being Catholic and trying to deal with the weight of that. And then it was in my head, I should propose tonight. And I was like, oh, no. Like, because I remembered her words ringing in my ear. I want you to meet my friends. I want to meet your family, which I've not done either by this point, okay? And so I'm like, oh, boy. And so we get home, and we're hanging out, and we're eating pizza, and watching Tina Fey and Alec Baldwin and having a good time. And I went to check on the pizza. And again, I'm out there in the kitchen, and I'm like, I gotta do it tonight. I was like, no, don't do it. Look, I'm like literally trying to talk myself out of it. I'm like, don't just wait 36 hours and you can do it right. Just wait. Be so patient. But I could not wait. And so, are we going to recreate this?
I'm sorry, this is going to be cheesy, but
it's important to understand.
We're just going to go for it.
Okay. So we're hanging and we're watching.
This is just like how it happened.
Pretty much, yeah. And so we're. What's that? Oh yes, thank you. And so we're hanging and we're watching 30 Rock, and it's so funny. Ha ha ha! Oh, we're so in love. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. It's Easter.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. All right. And all right, quiet. TV's on. And so And so the ring was in a cupboard that was next to the bathroom. And so I was like, okay, so, I mean, and I don't know if you knew, but like my heart was pounding so hard. It was just like the I love you moment, right? The first time I told her I loved her. And so I was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. And so I got up, so I get up. And so the ring was hidden again. Remember, picture the ring? Thank you. Okay, so I go to the bathroom.
I don't know, what is he doing?
And on the way there, I stop and get the ring.
I had no idea.
I go in the bathroom. I go back out, and I put the ring in my pocket, like this.
Oh, you're back. I missed you so much.
What's up?
You were gone
Oh.
for a few minutes.
Okay.
What's wrong with you? I think you're going to have a heart attack because you just ate meat and haven't had it in a long time. So this hand is here on my chest like this, but the blanket is over it, okay? And so I'm like, oh man, I got it. It makes me nervous even just want to say it again. And so I think I pretty much said kind of what I said to you, like, this is my 10th year being Catholic, her first year, like almost a full cycle of the calendar year being Catholic. And so I said, you know, it's such an exciting time and an unbelievable moment. Whatever I said, I can't remember now, but I pretty much said I want to start this new chapter in a special way. And so underneath the blanket, I reach into my pocket. And then and I'm just talking and distracting her with jokes and emotion. And I put the ring, I guess so that you see. So let's pretend the blanket's still there. And I put the ring in her hand, and I close her hand over it, right? And so she doesn't know what's going on. And so, but she can feel the ring. I can tell that it's a ring, but I am not expecting this to happen right now, so I'm kind of freaked out.
Is it a Cracker Jack ring? Is it a 25-cent candy machine ring? But it's not. It's a real ring. And so I look at her and I said, and so I want to start this new chapter of life with you. And so Tori, will you marry me?
You didn't ask me yet, though.
What?
Because I hadn't looked at the ring.
No, I asked you first.
Oh, okay.
I asked, will you marry me? And you said?
Oh, I guess.
Let's try it again. And you said?
Did you stop smoking?
Let's try it again. And you said?
Yes.
And so then there was about 45 minutes of this. Okay? And we kissed and we went nuts. Oh, but no. And so I kissed her a couple times and I was like, look at your ring, you know, because it was still underneath the blanket. And so she sits up, but she would not open her fist, you know.
Once you look at the ring and then it's
real,
it's real.
Yeah. And so I was like, let me put the ring on you, please. And so, because, you know, I wasn't kneeling, and so I couldn't do it in that traditional Hollywood way, right? And so, what did you ask me? What did you say?
I don't remember.
You asked me which hand it went on.
Oh, gosh. I didn't know which hand ring was going on that day. I wasn't really expecting this to happen. I've never been engaged before. I don't ever wear rings. And so I'm like, oh, which... And he's like, oh, it's to the left hand. I said, no, I don't think so. I think it's the right hand. I'm buying time here. He knew. So.
Of course, I was mostly prepared. And so I got up and went over to my computer and literally Google.com. Which hand does the engagement ring go on? Enter. The engagement ring goes on the left hand. And so I turned back around. You wouldn't believe it.
You were right. Gosh.
And so then finally, you know, and I mean, I think I've asked her like if she'd marry me like 50 times. Well, I'm asking her like every other sentence because I want to hear it again and again. And if you've been there, you know how I feel. You just want to hear those words, that word over and over again. So then finally, and now like the freak out mode is in full force because there's no denying now. Like the ring is on her hand. And so I'm asking her again, will you marry me? Yes. Kissing, wonderful.
Then
I get up and I go to the bathroom again.
What is his problem? It's gotta be all the meat.
The meat is kicking.
Right? That must be it. Now I'm here alone. We just got engaged and he's left me already. Who knows what's happening? There's a trash can. And so I'm assuming he leaves again and maybe he thinks that I'm nauseous, like I'm gonna puke because I'm so happy or nervous or I don't know what. So I'm just holding this trash can sitting there while he's running around. I don't know. And then he came back with
this. Now, I had told myself before we got engaged that I would quit smoking when we got engaged. I had forgotten this as I asked her. And so, as we're kind of hanging out, I'm like, oh no. I said I would stop. And I still had cigarettes in my cigarette case. And so I went up to the car and got them, and then we tore them up and threw them into the trash.
And he gave me the cigarette.
I gave it to her as a memento or whatever it is, memento. What happens next?
Then, I was about to tell this story.
Sorry, yes.
Then we stayed up. I was supposed to go home, but we were too excited, and so I'm out, and I keep thinking, like, I need to call my mom and tell her where I am, but I don't want to tell her on the phone that we got engaged, and that's why I'm not home. Because I don't really think she wants to hear it on the phone. And so, but how else am I going to explain that it's 5 in the morning and I'm not home yet?
So when she calls you, what did you say? It's so we called my parents because they were still awake because it's a 2-hour time difference, and so it was only midnight there, and my mom just happened to be up, and I said, "Hey, we got engaged," and I said I couldn't wait, and she said, "Thank God, because I couldn't wait anymore either."
She didn't keep it a secret, and I guess she knew.
Well, I told them that I was thinking about doing it while I was home. A lot of folks knew, really, but and so then just tra-la-la and whatever it is, and we're just so elated, out of our minds. Never felt so in love, I mean, since then I have, but not now. I was like, oh my gosh, like Ellie, you were right, my friend. I asked her, what's the difference between dating and being engaged? And she said, every emotion is multiplied 50 times. And it's true. I mean, I don't know how you feel, but that's how I felt, like 50 times, but like the emotional intensity just amps up because that's it. Like, you made your decision, it's done. And so, so then your parents call. Yeah,
and my mom calls me because she gets up and is like, "Where are you? Why aren't you home? Are you dead somewhere?"
And she said, I could hear that on the phone. She said, "Where are you?" And you said, "I'm engaged."
Of course.
And she said, "Well, be engaged and get home," or something like that. And so she left and she went home.
So I went home and my whole family was awake in the living room, and so I told them the story. And then I'm exhausted, because I've just been up all night long. So I slept a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then we went to Mass again, told everyone, and neither of us had slept. Well, he came over for a while later on. My mom took some pictures and stuff, but of course...
Awful pictures.
Yeah, that we look horrible.
Can you see one? I mean, we were so tired. It was just so rough. But it was super fun, yeah.
So we went to Mass, we took some more pictures, and they were just awkward, and we looked exhausted. And then the next day, we left for Oregon. And
it was clear to me, like, as soon as we got off the plane and were past security, and she met my mom and my dad, I was like, I couldn't have waited until we got to the car in the parking garage to do it. Like, and that would have been the worst time to do it. Although, how fun would it if your parents are there, too? Like, how beautiful is that to share it with them? But I was like, I couldn't have waited that long. And so I made the right decision. And that way... Because we had a great trip, mostly, and we saw so much awesome stuff and did so many cool things, and got to see my grandparents and all that, especially my grandpas before they passed away, And so, like, how much better to have it done than to spend the whole trip, like, anxious about it. When's it going to happen?
Yeah, because we both would have been, he would have been anxious about doing it, and I would have been wondering, when is it going to happen? Oh, we're on the beach now. Oh, we're in the redwoods now.
And what if
I look nice?
Yeah, and what if I had gotten cold feet and hadn't done it, but she had expected it all that time, and she's like, "What's up with that? Like, we went to Oregon, bro. Like, isn't that the time And so, really, then the rest of it. Well, then the only last significant event. I mean, there are many, but the most significant was when I was laid off the Church of Holy Apostles, as most of you know, and I was like, oh, that changes things. But when I came down here to Georgetown for her graduation, I talked with Mary Lou. There you are again. You are the pivot point in the whole story. And and she had mentioned this job at St. Francis and John. And I thought, oh, I don't know. But I applied for the job and I got it. And then we were torn apart, because I came down to Georgetown and she remained in Illinois. And so only on occasions like this, when you come to visit Georgetown, do we have any time together. Otherwise, we're apart, which is definitely not the way I would have chosen to spend our engagement. But it's the way it is, And we're making the most of it too, I think. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, the timing of the whole job thing was really awesome because he kind of got we don't really know about, I don't know how would you describe that meeting, but there was a sense that maybe it was going to happen, and then we were down for my graduation and heard about this other job that wasn't posted anywhere yet. They were still writing the job description. And then he got the interview set up, and then he got laid off, and then went to the interview and got the job. And so it was, I don't know, what was it, maybe a week or two that you didn't have a job and that was it. Yeah. So the timing there was really, really wonderful.
Yeah, I got laid off on a Tuesday, and then I was here on that following Saturday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, interview Saturday, interview Sunday, back in Illinois Tuesday, offered the job Wednesday, and then I went down the following weekend, so 2 Saturdays later, and that's when I started. I've been here ever since, and so, whew, what a trip. But for those who don't know, well, most of you do. We're looking forward to getting married on December 15th. We had hoped to get married on the 8th. Maybe you remember that the Easter Sunday was on the 8th this year, and so we thought, April 8th to December 8th, exactly 8 months, 8 to 8, and Easter Sunday, and then the 8th of December is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. And so that's super fun, to have it done on the feast day. You can bring it on a feast day. Unfortunately, wasn't going to work out schedule-wise, sorry. And so we're getting married on the 15th, 1 week later, which is nuts because, here we have our big Christmas program on the 1st, and then getting ready for the big Christmas masses, and then getting married 10 days before Christmas. But I think part of what sustains me as we wait to get married is, to think of to think of our, being able to spend Christmas together, and how super fun it's going to be, and so it is hard. Many of you know, it's not easy for me to be alone at all, and to be away from her, and you know how it is to be in a new place, and you don't have a lot of friends yet, but especially when your best friend isn't with you, and she is. She's my absolute best friend that I've ever had, besides my sister. I won't take it away from you all, never. But I can't. I'm astonished that she said yes, and that she's saying yes all the time, and that I get to spend my life with the woman I want. So, thank you, and thank you for. Get some more time, please.
Yes.
Okay. I love you.
I love you.
Okay. Thank you for watching.
All 53 minutes of this.
But. Oh, who knows? Whatever.
We will just edit it down. It'll be shorter.
No. Maybe. Okay. We'll see.
The abridged version.
Yeah.
The highlights.
Yeah, we'll do a Spark Notes version too. But thank you. So many of you have asked this question. Sorry. And indeed, it's a lot easier than writing a Facebook note or going over to the knot.com or something like that. Maybe it's an hour long, but I love to tell this story, and I feel like I lose details every time I tell it, so it's fun to tell with you because to get the other perspective. What's coming up on ET's Summer Review channel? What's coming up?
I don't know.
Nothing important, nothing exciting. Probably nothing as good as the pastor's video. Thank you again for your response. Top 10 sci-fi. Okay, that's coming up. And actually, maybe I'll do kind of an interview with Tori because later this month, in 7 days, will be her first full year as a Catholic. And so I'm interested to ask her about what that first full year has been like. How has she grown? Closer to God, closer to herself, closer to others. And
less like the person that I was before we got engaged or anything, as I was talking about earlier, how I sound like an awful person. I'm talking about.
But how does that factor in? Like that first year of new spirituality and then a brand new relationship. And how do those factor together? That's something that I'm always just so intrigued by. Like, how does relationship inform and become influenced by our spirituality. Anyway, all right. Thank you so much. Any closing remarks?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we'll see you in a live stream on December 15th. We'll live stream our wedding. I'm kidding. We won't really, but lots of videos and stuff to come, I hope. And as always, yes, thank you so much for watching. Bye. Okay, get up there and turn this thing off. Hold on. Nope. I'm sorry. Hold on. Help me out. Thank you for the encouragement. Okay.